So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Lesson 2.4, creating and solving inequalities. Essential question, how do you write and solve an inequality? And that's bad grammar right there. That, that are not strictly equal. See, I make little like grammar errors like this. I didn't catch it. So, is not strictly equal. Okay, I'll go back and change that, but not right now. Okay, so the definition of an inequality, and you guys have worked with these before, is a statement that compares two expressions. Okay, it compares two expressions that are not strictly equal by using one of the following inequality signs. So these are inequality signs. You have is less than or equal to. And notice that the is less than or equal to contains both the is less than sign and half of an equal sign. Is greater than or equal to. That one contains it contains half of an equal sign and the is greater than sign together. And then the last one is not equal to. And the easiest way to help you remember this is like the same thing that you were taught in elementary school. Think about an alligator, and the alligator always wants to eat the bigger thing, okay? So is greater than or is less than, as you're comparing, it's trying to eat the bigger number or the bigger value, or pizza or cupcake. So when you solve inequalities and you solve equations, there are some similarities, and there are some differences. So in both cases, you first apply the distributive property if it's there, then use inverse operations to isolate the variable. Most operations are the same for solving equations and inequalities. But this is really important that when you multiply or divide both sides of an inequality by a negative number, you must reverse the inequality sign. That's the big difference, okay? But otherwise, it's exactly the same. So here we have an example. We're going to write an inequality that represents the description. Max has more than 5 carrots. And the number of carrots Max has is going to be represented by the variable C. So, more than, that's the symbol that I'm going to use, the more than sign. The number that I have is 5, and I'm comparing carrots. So, the number of carrots is more than 5. And if you're not sure if you set it up correctly, one thing to do is replace your variable with a number and make sure it makes sense. So if Max has more than 5 carrots, that means he could have 6 carrots, he could have 7 carrots, he could have 8 carrots, he could have 9 carrots. And if I put any of those numbers where the C is, it should be like the alligator's trying to eat the bigger number. Okay? This is your turn now. Write an inequality that represents the description. Bridget is shorter than 5 feet. Bridget's height is the variable h. What will that look like? And you do have the inequality symbols to type with. The less than or greater than symbol is next to the M and the question mark. Okay, so you're using the variable h, you're using one of those two symbols, and you're using the number 5. Bridget is shorter than 5 feet. Her height is h. And if you're not sure if you did it correctly, think about substituting in values where the h is. Okay, if she's shorter than 5 feet, and I put a 4 there, make sure it's a true statement. if you replace the H with 4, and then you have your comparison symbol and then the number 5, make sure it's true. Good job, Jordan. Good job, Luna. Good job, Viviana. Good job, Sebastian. And it is possible to use either the less than symbol or the greater than symbol. You can really use either one as long as you put your H and your 5 on the correct sides. Okay? So if you use the less than symbol, it has to be one way. And if you use the greater than symbol, it has to be the other way. Okay? It has to make sense if you replace the H with a number that is less than 5. So, who else has it? So you're going to not use the equal sign. No equal sign. It's either less than or greater than. Good job, Quaylon. So we could take a look at some of your responses. H is less than 5. So if I replace H with the number like 4, 4 is less than 5. That's true. Okay, if this is an alligator, he is eating the bigger number. He's eating the 5. H is less than 5. H is less than 5. Here we have 5 is greater than H. That's the way you would read this. But that's also okay because this is true. It's just this H is less than 5 or 5 is greater than H are equivalent in their meaning. So you would have to have one of these two. Either H is less than 5 or 5 is greater than H. No equal signs. Okay, so that was less than or greater than, and we also have the greater than or equal to and less than or equal to symbol. So what phrases in a problem can be represented by the greater than or equal to symbol? So if you see greater than or equal to, that's what it means specifically, but at least. So, and also no less than. Those are key terms that mean that symbol. And then what phrases in a problem can be represented by the is less than or equal to symbol? If it actually says less than or equal to. If it says at most or no more than. Okay. So we'll do this one together. Write an inequality that represents the description and then solve. So we didn't have to solve on the last ones, we were just writing them. Now we're going to write one and solve it. Dave has $15 to spend on an $8 book and 2 birthday cards, C, for his friends. How much can he spend on each card if he buys the same card for each friend? So we're using the variable C to represent the cost of the card. And he's spending the same amount on these 2 cards for his 2 friends. And he has $15. So on one side of our inequality, we have the 15, but we know he has to spend an amount of money that is either less than $15 or exactly $15. And in this problem, they're not accounting for tax, so just kind of ignore that. All right. We're in a tax-free world at the moment. Okay, so there's the $8 book. We're definitely buying that, and then 2 cards. So we're adding together 8 and 2C. 2 times the price of a card plus the $8. This amount altogether has to be less than $15 or it could be equal to $15. So that's why we're using the less than or equal to symbol to compare. So that was writing our inequality. And now we're going to solve our inequality. And when you solve an inequality, it's just like solving an equation. Okay? The only difference is when you multiply or divide by a negative value, that changes the direction of your sign. I'm not going to have to worry about that in this problem. I will not be multiplying or dividing by a negative. But I can see that I have $8 on the left-hand side and $15 on the right-hand side. So those are like terms that I want to combine. I'll do so by subtracting 8 from both sides. Okay, I'm not going to subtract 15 from both sides because remember, I'm trying to isolate the variable. When you solve an inequality or an equation, you're isolating your variable. My variable is C and it's over here on the left. So that means I got to get rid of this 8 first. So I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides. That leaves me with 2C is less than or equal to 7. And then 2 and C are being multiplied. So the inverse operation of multiplication is division. We're going to divide both sides by 2. And it's being divided by positive 2, so I don't have to switch my sign around. It's going to be consistently the same all the way through. And C is going to be less than or equal to $3.50. So he can spend $3.50 on a card, or he can spend an amount that is less than that, like $3.20 on a card. Any number that is less than or equal to $3.50 will work in this problem. Okay. So we're going to read through this problem together, and then you're going to pick one of 2 options. All right. So we're going to write in an inequality that represents this description first, and then we'll solve it later. Tony can carry up to 18 pounds in her backpack. Her lunch weighs 1 pound. Her gym clothes weigh 2 pounds. And her books, B, weigh 3 pounds each. How many books can she carry in her backpack? So we know she can carry up to 18 pounds. Which of those 2 options is correctly representing our inequality? So on your Pear Deck slide, you're going to pick one of those inequalities. Which one is showing that if I add up her lunch, her gym clothes, and a certain number of books, which one shows that it is in the restricted weight of 18 pounds? It's saying she can carry up to 18 pounds. So we need to come up, with numbers that are what? Would a number like 15 be okay? Would a number like 20 be okay? One of those symbols is representing it the correct way, and the other one is not. So your responses right now, very split. The only difference between A and B is the symbol. If I add 3 times the weight of a book, plus the pound for the lunch, plus the 2 pounds for the gym clothes, and I compare that number that I get to 18, according to our story, is it supposed to be less than or equal to 18? Or is it supposed to be greater than or equal to 18? What are we trying to show in this problem? She can carry up to 18 pounds in her backpack. That means up to means it has to be a number that is less than or equal to 18. So if I was to replace the B with a value, say B was some number like 1 pound, and I added all these up, the sum of the left-hand side has to be a number smaller than, less than 18. Okay, A is the correct option because That's using the correct symbol. We want the sum of these three things, whatever it turns out to be less than 18 pounds, not greater than 18 pounds. All right, so now that we have the correct inequality, we're going to solve this inequality. So you have some scratch paper, you can copy this down, and you're going to solve. 3b plus 1 plus 2 is less than or equal to 18. You would solve this the same way as you solve an equation. We will not be dividing or multiplying by a negative value in this story problem. You will not change the direction of your inequality sign. I have 7 of 22 responses. Okay, so let's see what we're coming up with. Nobody's picked A, 6 people picked B, 2 people picked C, and 4 people picked D. I'm trying to solve this inequality. I first want to add 1 and 2 together. 1 plus 2 is 3. Then I want to subtract 3 from both sides. 18 minus 3 is 15. So 3 times B is less than or equal to 15. If 3 and B are being multiplied, I want to use the inverse operation. I want to divide both sides by 3. We're dividing 15 by 3. What is 15 divided by 3? Most of you have it correct. B is less than or equal to 5. So B is the weight of the number of books. No, I'm sorry. Her books are 3 pounds each. B is the number of books. So as long as she has 5 or less books, we're good to go. She can carry no books. She could carry 1 book. She could carry 2 books. She could carry 3 books. She could carry 4 books and even 5 books. Those are the only possibilities for the number of books that she can carry and still keep her backpack weight less than or equal to 18 pounds. All right. So this is the end of this lesson. What we're going to do next is go into Delta Math.